Hello, hi everyone. Thank you very much for continuing with me in this chapter. So we continue with chapter number 9 in managerial economics, which is this, we will discuss about basic oligopoly model. Basic oligopoly model. So up until now, our analysis of markets has not considered the impact of strategic behavior on managerial decision making. At one extreme, we examine profit maximization in perfectly competitive and monopolistically competitive markets. So in this type of market, so many firms are competing with one another that no individual firm has any effect on other firm in the market. So in the other extreme, we examine profit maximization in monopoly market. In this instance, there is only one firm in the market, and strategic interaction among firms thus are irrelevant. So in this chapter is the first of two chapters in which we examine a managerial decision in oligopoly markets. So here we focus on basic output, basic output and pricing decision in four specific type of oligopolies, uh, which are called Sweezy, Conant, Stackelberg, and Bertrand. Okay, and the following chapter we will develop a more general framework for analyzing other decisions such as advertising, research, and development, entry into an industry, and so forth. Okay, so first of all, we can see we must see the overview of this chapter. Okay, we will look in to condition for oligopoly. What are the condition of oligopoly, and then strategy, role of strategic interdependence, profit maximization in four oligopoly setting, as we mentioned earlier: Sweezy, Conant, Stackelberg, and Bertrand. And then what is all about the contestable market. Okay, so as you can see from this slide, oligopoly refers to a situation where there are relatively few large company, few large organization, few large firm in an industry. So no explicit number of firm is required for oligopoly, but the number usually is somewhere between 2 and 10. So that's the guideline from all of economists about 2 and 10 firms, in the market. So the product and firm offer may be identical, as in a perfectly competitive market, or differentiated as in monopolistically competitive market. And oligopoly composed only two firms is called as a duopoly. As you can see from here, as a duopoly, and then maybe three firm, call it a triopoly. So oligopoly is perhaps the most interesting of all market structure. In fact, the following chapter is devoted entirely to the analysis of situation that arise under oligopoly. But from the viewpoint of the manager, a firm operating in an oligopoly setting is the most difficult to manage. A firm is operating in oligopoly setting is most difficult to manage. The key reason is that there are few firms in oligopolistic market, and the manager must consider the likely impact of her or his decision on the decision of other firm in the industry. So moreover, the action of the firm will have a profound impact on the manager's optimal decision. So it should be noted that due to the complexity of oligopoly, there is no single model that is relevant for all oligopolies. So that's the first section on this chapter. We want to know about the oligopoly environment. Oligopoly environment. So when we discuss about or when we want to know about the role of the strategic interaction. Okay, so to begin then an understanding of oligopoly interdependence, consider a situation where several firms selling differentiated product compete in an oligopoly. So in determining what price to charge, the manager must consider the impact of his or her decision on other firms in the industry. For example, if the price for the product is lowered, will other firm lower their prices or maintain their existing price? Okay. So if the price is increased, will other firm do likewise or maintain their current price? Okay. So the optimal decision or whether to rise or lower price will depend on how the manager believes other managers will respond. So if other firm lower their prices, once the firm lower its price, it will not sell as much as it would if the other firm maintains their existing prices. Okay. So that's the role of what you call as a strategic interaction. So your action affect the profit of your rival. Your rival action affect your profit as well. And how will a rival respond to your action? Okay. So this is, as I mentioned earlier, you and other firms will sell differentiated product, and then how does that the quantity demanded for your product change when you change your price? Okay. Okay, and then in this graph showing us the rival match your price change, and the curve for D1, if the rival hold its price constant. So the quantity of demand of product that you offer in the market will change accordingly. Okay. So if the price is P0, you lower the price, what happen if the rival hold its price constant? Okay. And then so what happen if you increase the price, and so this curve D2 show that rival match your price change. Okay. Same goes to here. Okay. So rival match your price change. Okay. And rival demand if rival match price reduction but not price increase. See, so the demands, okay, the demand curve will bend to here. Okay, not like this. Okay, they are following you when you increase the price or you decrease, okay, or lower the price. Okay. Or in this situation, okay, there maybe can follow your price increase but not they are following your price decrease but not your price increase. Okay. So the key insight from this strategic interaction, you can see the effect of price reduction on the quantity demanded of your product depend upon whether your rival respond by cutting their prices too. And the effect of price increase on the quantity demanded of your product depend upon whether your rival respond by raising their prices too. And strategic interdependent, you are in complete control of your own destiny. So whatever you trying to plan or to do, okay, actually will got a response from your rival. Okay, as the concept of strategic interdependence, right? And when we discuss about this oligopoly model, oligopoly environment, okay, you must discuss about these four model. The first one is Sweezy or kink demand model environment. Sweezy or kink demand model environment. Okay, this you can see this is a kink demands. Seems okay. So in this section, we will examine profit maximizing based on alternative assumption. Actually, when we are using this model, we try to examine profit maximization. As we know in business organization, of course, profit maximization is one of the their main purpose to maximize the profit. Okay, so that's why we'll use this to examine profit maximization based on alternative assumption regarding how rivals will respond to price or output changes. Each of the four model has a different implication for the manager's optimal decision, and these differences arise because of differences in the way rival respond to the firm action. Yeah. Okay, the first one, as you can see from here, is a Sweezy oligopoly. Sweezy oligopoly environment. This Sweezy model is based on the very specific assumption regarding how other firm will respond to price increases and price cuts. So in industry is characterized as a Sweezy oligopoly if the first you can see from here, few firm in the market serving many consumers. They are if industry is categorized as a Sweezy oligopoly, the first one, the few firm, there are few firm in the market serving many consumers. And then the firm produce a differentiated product. Firm produce differentiated product, and then there are also barriers to entry. Okay, meaning that barriers to entry exist. Okay, and then each of firm believe a rival will cut their price. This is one of the very important point that we have to remember. Okay, each firm believe that rival will match or follow price reduction. Follow, okay, price reduction. Okay, but won't match. Okay, won't match. Okay, won't match price increase. Okay, if you increase the price, they won't follow. Okay, so this is the situation where we can see the kink model environment. Kink model environment. Okay, because the manager of firms competing in Sweezy oligopoly believe that other firm will match any price decrease but not match price increases. Sweezy oligopoly model, manager believe that your other firm or competitor will follow the price decrease, okay, but not follow the price increase. And because of that, you can see that's why our Sweezy demand and marginal revenue as like this. Okay, it's like this, right? Okay, so DS, okay, demand for Sweezy, the Sweezy demand will you can see from here. Okay, rival match your price change. Rival hold its price constant. Okay, in this D1, but if you decrease your price, okay, they will follow. Okay, Okay, in a Swiss oligopoly, firms have an incentive not to change their pricing behavior, provided marginal costs remain in a given range. So the reason for this stems purely from the assumption that rival will match price cut but not price increases. Firms in a Swiss oligopoly do not want to change their prices because of the effect of price changes in the behavior of other firms in the market. Okay, so the Swiss model has been criticized because it offers no explanation of how the industry settled in the initial price P0. That's criticized because they don't really clear explain why that they start from here, because how that you assume that your rival not follow the price increase while you don't really clear about where it was start from P0. Okay. So nonetheless, the Swiss model does show us the strategic interaction among firms, and managers' belief about rival reactions can have a profound impact on pricing decision. So one of the very important here in Swiss, okay, its effect to it can have a profound impact on pricing decision. Okay. So in practice, the initial price and a manager's belief may be based on manager's experience with a pricing pattern of rival in a given market. So if your experience suggests that rival will match price reduction but not match price increase, okay, so the Swiss model is probably the best tool to use in formulating your pricing decision. Okay. Okay. So this is something you have to remember. That's belief, firm belief. That means based on this explanation, yeah, it's based a lot on manager's experience. Okay, so firm belief rival match price cut, but not price increase. And then firms operating in Swiss oligopoly maximize profit by producing where MRS equal to MC. So the kink shapes a marginal revenue curve implies that there exists a range over which changes in MC, okay, marginal cost, will not impact the profit maximizing level of output. Therefore, the firm have no incentive to change price provided the marginal cost remain in a given range. Okay. And then the second model you can see from here is Conant model environment. So in Swiss model environment, we believe that the rival will follow your price decrease, but will not follow your price increase. One of the argument about Swiss one of the critics about Swiss model is there are no clear, okay, where the P0 will start. Okay, and because of that, okay, you can see, okay, manager believe that's based on manager's experience. It depends a lot on manager's experience how to identify the P0. Okay, and when we discuss about Conant oligopoly, this is the second one model that we want to discuss. You can see from here, imagine that a few large oil producers must decide how much oil to pump out of the ground. So the total amount of oil produced will certainly affect the market price of oil. So, but the underlying decision of each firm is not a pricing decision, but rather the quantity of oil to produce. So if each firm must determine its output level at the same time, other firms determine their output level, or more generally, if each firm expect its own output decision to have no impact on rivals' output decision, then this scenario describes a Conant oligopoly. So more formally, you can see, okay, an industry is a Conant oligopoly. An industry is a Conant oligopoly. Okay, if a few firm produce goods that are either perfect substitutes, homogeneous, or imperfect substitute, indifferentiated. And then firm's control variable is output in contrast to price. Okay, not as like Sweezy. You can see Sweezy just focus on the price, but this one, okay, the control variable is output. The control variable is output. Okay, each firm believes their rival hold output constant if it changes its output, its own output. So the output of rival is viewed as given or fixed, right? So there are also barriers to entry, okay, in this Conant model environment. Okay, so that's in contrast to the Sweezy model of oligopoly. The Conant model is relevant for decision making when managers make output decision and believe that their decision do not affect the output decision of a rival firm. Okay, you can make your own decision, okay, and you believe that in terms of output, you can make your own output decision, but at the same time you believe your decision do not affect the output decision of your rival firms or other competitor. Furthermore, the Conant model apply to situation in which the product are either identical or differentiated. Okay, to highlight the implication of Conant oligopoly, suppose there are only two firms competing in Conant oligopoly. So each firm must make an output decisions, and each firm believe that its rival will hold output constant as it changes its own output. So determine its to determine its optimal output level, firm 1 will equate marginal revenue with marginal cost. So notice that since this is a duopoly, or firm 1's is a duopoly, so firms 1's marginal revenue is affected by the firm's 2 output level. So in particular, the greater the output of firm 2, the lower the market price, and thus the lower is firm's 1 marginal revenue. So this means that the profit maximizing level of output for firm 1 depend on firm's 2 output level. So greater output by firms 2 lead to the lower profit maximizing output for firms 1. So this relationship between firms 1 profit maximizing output and firms 2 output is called a best response or a reaction function. Best response or reaction function. Okay. So a best response, also so called a reaction function, define the profit maximizing level of output for a firm, for a given output level of the firm. So more formally, the profit maximizing level of output for firm 1 given that firm 2 produces Q2 unit of output. So before we understand of this inverse demand in a Conan oligopoly, I think better for us to add a few explanation here. Okay, this is the concept of what we call as best response function, also called as a reaction function. Reaction function. So more formally, the profit maximizing level, a level of output for firm 1 given the firm 2 produces Q2, okay, unit of output. Okay. So as simple as whatever quantity from the firm 1 Q quantity produces by firm 1, will get response, okay, equal to response, okay, and that's given the firm 2 produces Q2 unit of output. So similarly, the profit maximizing level of output for firm 2, okay, given the firm 1 produces Q1's unit of output is given by Q2 equal to R, okay, 2 times Q1. So the point here, okay, they want to tell whatever okay, whatever output decision from Q1 or from firm A, from one or firm 1 or firm 2, okay, will affect to the other competitor, because we just only discussing now duopoly or two company only. Okay, so in Conan oligopoly, okay, we can see the quantity, they are more focused, they are just only concerned about the quantity or output decision. So reaction function or Conan reaction best response function for a duopoly are maybe okay, you can see from clearly from this graph. Okay, Right, you can see from this figure, okay, where firm 1 output is measured on the horizontal axis, okay, and firm 2 output is measured on the vertical axis, okay. So to understand why reaction function are shaped as they are, let us highlight a few important points in the diagram. First, if firm 2 produce 0 unit of output, and the profit maximizing level of output for firm 1 would be Q1M, Q1M, okay. So since this is the point on the firm's one's reaction function, so R1, so that corresponds to 0 unit of Q2. So this combination of output correspond to the situation where only firm 1 is producing a positive level of output. So that's Q1M. So corresponds to the situation where firm 1 is a monopolist. So if instead of producing a 0 unit of output, firms 2 produce a Q 2 star unit, so the profit maximizing level of output for firm 1 would be Q1 star. So since this is the point of R1 on R1, that's correspond on to an output of Q2 star by firm 2. So the reason the profit maximizing level of output for firm 1 decreases as firms 2 output increase is as follow. The demand for firms 1 product depend on the output produced by other firm in the market. So when firm 2 increases its level of output, the demand and marginal revenue of firm 1 decline. Okay, right? And the profit maximizing response by firm 1 is to reduce at its level of output. Okay. To examine the equilibrium in a Conon duopoly, suppose firm 1 produce Q1M unit of output. So given this output, the profit maximizing level of output for firm 2 will correspond to point A on R2 in this figure. Okay, R2, okay. Issue maybe a bit clear. So given this positive level of output by firm 2, the profit maximizing level of output for firm 1 will no longer be Q1M, but will correspond to point B or R1. So given this reduced level of output by firm 1, point C will be the point of on firm 2 reaction function that maximizes profit. So given this new output by firm 2, firm 1 will again reduce output to point D on its reaction function. Okay, right? So how long will these changes in output continue? Until point E in figure is reached. So at point E, firm 1 produces Q1 star and firm 2 produces Q2 star units. So neither firm has an incentive to change its output. That it's believed that the other firm will hold its output constant at that level. So point E does correspond to the Conan equilibrium. Conan equilibrium. Conan equilibrium is the situation, is the situation where neither firm has an incentive to change its output given the output of the firms. So graphically, this condition correspond to the intersection of the reaction curve. So thus far, our analysis of Conan oligopoly has been graphical rather than algebraic. However, given estimate of the demand and cost with the Conan oligopoly, we can explicitly solve the Conan equilibrium. How that we do that? Because to maximize profits, a manager in a Conan oligopoly produces where marginal revenue equal marginal cost. So the calculation of marginal cost is straightforward. It is done just as in the other market structure we have analyzed. So the calculation of marginal revenue in the little more subtle. We can see from the following. Okay. Right, there's the following formula: the marginal revenue of Conan oligopoly. Okay. So if the inverse market demand in a homogeneous product Conan oligopoly, we can see P equal to A minus B. Right, A minus B, okay, times Q1 plus Q2. Okay. Where A and B are positive constant, that's a marginal revenue of firm 1 and firm 2. It's supposed to be like this. Okay. So thus each firm's marginal revenue depend on the output produced by other firms. So more formally like this. Okay. So notice that the marginal revenue for a Conan oligopolies depend not only on the firm's own output but also on the other firm's output. So in particular, when firms 2 increase its output, firms 1 marginal revenue falls. This is because the increase in output by firms 2 lowers the market price, resulting in lower marginal revenue for firm 1. Since each firm's marginal revenue depend on its own output and that of the rival, the output where firms marginal revenue equal, marginal cost depend on the other firm's output level. Okay. If we equate firms 1's marginal revenue with its marginal cost and then solve for firms 1 output as a function of firm 2 output, we obtain an algebraic expression for firms 1 reaction function. So since a firm marginal revenue is a homogeneous Conan oligopoly depend on both output. Okay, as we discussed before here, firm 1's best response function is a schedule summarizing the amount of Q1. Okay, so this is a summary what I have explained just now. Okay, since the product are substitute and increase in firms 2, output leads to a decrease in the profit maximizing. Okay, that's what we call the best response function. Okay, right, this is I explained earlier before this. Okay, that's much better. So to find firm's best response function, equate its marginal revenue to marginal cost and solve for its output as a function of its rival output, right? Okay, this is similar with the graph or figure that we discussed earlier in this slide. Okay, so we find this Conant equilibrium situation where each firms produces the output that maximizes its profit. So given that the output of firms rival firms, so no firm can gain by unilaterally changing its own output to improve its profit. Okay, see that's a graph of Conant equilibrium. Okay, so this graph more clear, and then more similar like this. Okay, so in summary, you can see from here the output of Q1 star maximize. This is explanation from here. The output of Q1 star maximize firms one profit given that firm 2 produces Q2 star. And the output Q2 star maximize firms 2 profit given that the firms 1 produces Q1 star. Right. Then neither firm has an incentive to change its output given the output of the rival, and believe are consistent. In equilibrium, each firm thinks rival will stick to uh, their their current output, and they do. Okay, I think end up of this first part. First part of chapter 9. Okay, before we continue with second part for this chapter with isoprofit. All right, thank you very much.